Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to the post-fight show with Stormybman for this Sunday evening, September 4th, 2022, and this is the post-fight show for Ruiz versus Ortiz, PBC/Fox pay-per-view. Yeah, we just wrapped up the fight card, and it was an action-packed card. We saw everything from scrapes, scraps, knockdowns, upsets, and a few things to make you upset, huh? Yeah, so we are here. Welcome everybody that's out there. Smash the like button as you come in, people, and we'll talk a little bit about it. I know this is a Sunday evening and it's getting late, and we won't hold anybody too long on this, so we'll get right down into it. Forgive me if I just acknowledge all of you out there in the chat as one big family. Thank you for coming in to listen to what I had to say, my take on the post-fight. And salute to all of my channel members with the channel emojis. There's a lot of blue out there, and I see everybody, but I know time is of essence. So we'll get right down to it and talk about it. Yeah, the fight just wrapped up, and we have seen Andy Ruiz Jr. win a unanimous decision over Luis King Kong Ortiz. The Destroyer was able to get the decision,
And he was able to pull this out largely in part by scoring 3 knockdowns in this fight. It was an interesting way of scoring things because I feel like King Kong won the majority of the rounds, but when you get put down on the canvas 3 times inside of a 12 to 10 round fight, it's going to be hard for them to give you consideration and favor. Although I had the same score, but a different way, even with those knockdowns, because I don't think that Andy won enough of the majority of the rounds, but he won the drama of the fight and he won clean-cut knockdowns. He wobbled Ortiz a couple of times, but wasn't able to capitalize. But let us give Andy Ruiz Jr. credit for something that I don't hear a lot of people say about him, and if they've said it, I haven't heard it very much. That young man can take a shot, because Luis King Kong Ortiz doesn't have leaf blowers, as my man TS Boxing likes to call them. Those fans for fists. He's got dynamite for fists. And he tagged Andy a few times in this fight, which I do believe convinced Andy not to rush in where fools dare to tread. So good fight between the guys. I saw some things that I really didn't like. What the hell is up with Luis King Kong Ortiz's cornerman, who's standing outside the ropes holding an answell in his hand but not applying it on the swollen portion of his eye? His left eye was swelling over the lid, and the dummy, that's what I'll refer to him as, dummy, got the answell on his cheek and right under the eye. My silence, people, is golden. Because as many times as I have seen an incompetent corner, you don't need people in your corner just because they friends of the family and, that's Uncle, Julio or whatever, Get some people in there that know what they're doing. And since the lead corner man who was in the ring with him, talking to him, couldn't use the answell and talk to him at the same time, again, my silence is golden on that, people. It's too much at stake for people to be incompetent. It takes me all the way back to 1991 in Tokyo, where a latex glove filled with ice cold water was applied to a swollen shut eye on Iron Mike Tyson in the biggest fight of his life, the biggest upset of the century in sports history, where Mike Tyson lost his undisputed title. Yeah. So, that being said, you can now see off of tonight's fight between these two combatants the reason why Luis King Kong Ortiz has been ducked by so many people. The man is over 40, probably closer to 50, if not 50 years old. And you could see why 1 year ago they may not have even taken that fight with him, the Ruiz camp, because a year older and a year longer in the tooth, King Kong is on the downside now, people. We have to say that. We have to admit to it. They have successfully aged this man out. But all of his threat, all of his skill, all of his guile was on display in there tonight. All of it. And I have to say something else. the 2 wars that he fought with Deontay Wilder, with the way that Deontay Wilder punches, and the fact that he was in there with him during the thick of things, but still ended up getting stopped on both occasions, we have to say that his punch resistance is no longer what it was prior to facing Deontay Wilder. This man goes down now when you hit him up on the side of his head. And that doesn't take rocket science, but what it does take is the sweet science of understanding that once a sweet spot has been found, if a person concentrates on that, you can kind of open up a vulnerability. And Luis is the kind of fighter that he takes risks. So that shot is open at times. It's not open all the time, but it's open at times. And so in order to do that and be successful, you have to wait for your opportunity. And Andy did do that. Prince Charles Martin did it, but I don't think he did it with the intent that Andy did after being able to observe Prince Charles Martin's success. So therefore, they did mind their P's and Q's, the Ruiz camp. But hats off to King Kong Ortiz. Man, what a fighter. I got nothing but respect for that man. Everything that he has done in the sport of boxing up to this point, and the fact that they have held that man at the doors because he has been so good a fighter. Absolutely. And though I had him winning the majority of the rounds on points, Andy's knockdowns secured the drama of the fight. He had home cooking as far as that environment and everything. And again, you putting a guy on the canvas, it's just like earlier this evening. We talked about it on Drew Titan's show where we had Freddie Pendleton when he fought one of the Ruelas brothers and had him down 4 times in the championship fight. And they took the decision away from Freddie. And you know good and well that Ruelas was not outpointing a boxer like Freddie. But in this case, you could see King Kong was outboxing Andy, keeping him at bay, keeping him at mid-range, a lot of feinting going on. But when he snapped that jab, it made Andy back up a little bit. It made Andy circle. And Andy was not looking to go and rush in. But he does have a chin. You cannot underestimate Andy Ruiz's chin. He has a propensity to take a really good, solid shot. My hat is off to him for being such a stalwart in there, being able to take that. And he's not the boxer that people have given him credit for being, but those fast hands that he's able to use in there are something of a hidden weapon, because it's not until he jumps out there with something to go at you that he can catch you off guard like that. And he was able to do that to King Kong on a couple of occasions, but King Kong was still lining him up, trying to get his own shots out there. And some of those counters that King Kong caught him with, a lesser guy that doesn't have the chin that Andy has would be down. We saw what he did to Prince Charles Martin. He made that man look into a new universe when he tagged him. So Andy was able to take that, and we give him credit. We give both men credit. How about the Latin community stand up and take a bow for these 2 warriors, because they performed tonight, and they performed in a way that when you get Latin warriors in there, this is what you receive typically. Quality fighting, quality effort, tons of heart, sometimes some knockdowns. And we got a little bit of all of that in this fight tonight. And as I stated in my pre-fight show, Ortiz can still, from time to time, get up on those toes a little bit and snap that jab. He didn't want to fight that way, even though it was detrimental to success. So he engaged more, which left his vulnerabilities wide there for Andy to take. But Andy was still cautious because of what was coming back. You got to give him credit for being smart enough not to rush in there and get KO'd himself. From a technical aspect, everything that I've stated thus far is pretty much how I saw the fight. My final score was 114 to 111. I had Andy winning the rounds that he scored the knockdown, and maybe one other round, but he wasn't outboxing King Kong. But he did win the fight. He did win the fight. I'm not trying to say, oh, he didn't win the fight. No, I think he did win the fight. And there's just so much to be learned when you watch the sport and you see different variables play out. I didn't think that this fight would go the distance, but I had not also taken into account the chin of Andy Ruiz. Had I done more of looking into that aspect of things, I would have bet that it does go to a decision, though the knockout or KO would favor Ortiz, not thinking, and as I said a moment ago, considering Ruiz's ability to take a punch. But they definitely aimed for shots to hit him about the head. There must be something said about opponents who have been in there with Deontay Wilder. Punch resistance is something else, man. It's something else, because that's why it's protect yourself at all times. That's why you got to be better at taking care of yourself on defense. Don't allow your offense to be your defense, as some people have taught, even the great Emmanuel Stewart for a time. When he had all those young warriors at the Kronk Gym, he was teaching them to utilize their offense as their defense. And some of those men today, they speak a certain kind of way as a result of that. You have to be able to be slick enough to not take as much punishment. You have to be mindful enough to remember that it's not always the strongest guy or the hardest hitting guy, but the smartest guy can prevail at times. So a lot to take away from this. But King Kong Ortiz has been a hell of a contender in the sport of boxing. A man that, just imagine the fights that we never saw him. We never saw him against the likes of either Klitschko brother. We didn't see him against Bermane Stiverne. We didn't see him against Anthony Joshua. We didn't see him against Tyson Fury, Joseph Parker, Joe Joyce, the guys who have kind of been standing outside the door looking in at the party, too scared to come in because they can't dance, Yeah. And Deontay Wilder fought this man not once but twice. But they want to ridicule him and make fun of him and say all types of dastardly things. But the man has proven his wares as both a champion and as a man in and out of the sport. And that's why there's so much love and respect between he and Luis King Kong Ortiz. And it was nice of Champ to show up tonight in lieu and support of the fight. Yeah. Yeah. I just think about that now, you know. When a fighter takes the punishment that Ortiz took in the two fights with Wilder, that can't be overlooked. That's just like you guys can listen to Tyson Fury right now, and you hear the foolishness that comes out of his mouth sounds even more foolish than it always has. But he knows he's not the same after facing Deontay 3 times. He's not. And for those of you who want to give him such a mighty chance over a potential bout against Alexander Usyk, you better reevaluate. You better reevaluate, because ain't nobody beat up Alexander Usyk. No one. No one. And he's definitely one who is mindful of taking care of himself. He's elusive. And he has enough power at 220 pounds and 6'3". He's a heavyweight now. And if he hits somebody, he can hurt somebody. And we've seen Tyson Fury get dropped by cruiserweights before, haven't we? Oh, did I say that? Did I remind you of a lesson? Huh? SS Cunningham, anyone? Yeah. So these are just things I put on the table for you to sift through the notes. Huh? Sift through the notes, man. Because there's always an opportunity to learn something. You might have a pot of soil. But do you know how to cultivate it? Or is it just dirt to you? Do you know how to plant seeds and tend to that soil and make sure that it's fertilized so it could bring forth meat? Yeah. Just a little something for you. Now, how about Andy Ruiz trying to box? How about that? Some of what he was able to do successfully had a lot more to do with King Kong's punch resistance having left than Andy just being, powerful. Or he's strong at the weight. Anthony Joshua can attest to that. Chris Arreola can attest to it. But it's an interesting thing seeing these guys get in there. Now you can really look at why some fighters just don't want to challenge themselves. Why some fighters see the other guy, the rival, the potential threat, and they ignore it or pretend like it doesn't exist. We see a lot of that in the sport today. And Luis did not leave the ring and storm out of there because of the decision that was handed down. He stood there and he gave a full interview, representing himself and his family and his country well. As I stated a moment ago, a lot can be learned if you sift through the documents. There are things to take away from this in a positive sense. But I do not for one iota feel that it was a good thing what they did to this man's career, stalling him out, drying him out, aging him out. It was biased, it was bigoted, it was prejudiced, what they did to him. The PTB, in the words of my man Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, your mama should be embarrassed and your daddy should have pulled out. Huh? What you did to this man, what you've done to Guillermo Rigondeaux. Two of the finest fighters that we have seen over the past 20 years. And you've done it to both of them. I resent and reject and spit upon you for what you've done. Robbing the sport. Robbing the fans of the sport, the supporters of the sport, of what makes the sport so thrilling, enthralling, tantalizing, interesting. By not giving men like this the chance that they deserve. But you will hype up people who've done diddly squat. You will tell anyone and their mama that they're the best since Ali. Why is it that you always want to reach into the barrel and pull out Ali's name when you want to associate or equate someone that you feel that may have potential for greatness? You want to use that man's name. However, when he was in his prime and he told you he was the greatest and he showed you greatness in and out of the ring, y'all wanted to throw him in jail, huh? Y'all wanted to send him off to war, hoping that in that war he would be blown to bits. You didn't like he saying, I'm pretty. You didn't like him saying, I'm the baddest man in the world. You didn't like his poetry. You didn't like him lining up the round with poetic rhymes that he stopped his opponents. You didn't like that he ignited in people a sense of value and worth. His people. And he said it all the time. He wasn't concerned about y'all. He knew that y'all would buy tickets to his fight, but most of you that bought the tickets to his fight want to see him lose. So he welcomed you being there, right there in the front row, where he said he could hear you in the clinch when he was near the ropes or something. Kill a nigger, knock the nigger out. You had no love for him. No love. But anytime you want to call someone that look like you great, you go and pull his name out the hat. Funny thing about it is, there have been great fighters who were not black. Tons of them. Matter of fact, a lot of them were so great because you kept the black fighters from fighting them. So why don't you equate these guys with them? Why don't you blow the dust off of their coffins and open boxes up and pull their cadaver bones out and equate these guys with them? Huh? Why not? Biased, bigoted, prejudiced. Yeah. This is what you do. This is what you do. And you still try to keep these guys away from the ones that they should fight. You still try to keep these guys away from the ones who will show them that they're mediocre at best. Ali belongs to me. And you would never hear me tell the tall lie of a new kid on the block being the best since Ali. You would never hear me say that. Never. Ali has his own class. So what you're really telling me is it's a direct insult when you are equating them bums with him. But we got the tapes and films, huh? Drug addicts, crackheads. Yeah. Guys who lose in their second professional fights. You try to build them up to be special. Luis King Kong Ortiz has fought possibly 6 or 7 years beyond the time that he really should have fought. Yeah. Yeah. But you all have done this. And even he is better than what you have shown him against. Like Pillsbury tonight. Yeah. He's better than that. He always has been. You think he did something special tonight. Andy Ruiz fought a guy who had one foot in the grave and a death grip on the desire of becoming a world champion. Some of you may not like that, don't really give a damn. But I'm speaking facts. If you think I'm lying, go back and pull out the tapes of Bob Arum speaking about why Top Rank let Andy Ruiz go. Oh, did I say that? Yeah, because he was a Top Rank fighter. They didn't let him go because he couldn't fight. And just as luck and fate would have it, he shortly after that became the first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world. So the wheel does turn, doesn't it? But guess what? In order to become that, didn't he have to be given the opportunity? Anthony Joshua and his people thought lowly of Andy Ruiz. After the deal with Big Baby Miller fell through, they looked for someone else. But they didn't do their homework, because what they were looking for was a patsy. They didn't go call King Kong, who at the time was like, I'll step in with little or no camp. And even at the advanced age that he was at that time, they thought not. But you have to have the opportunity. That's what you don't forget. That's what you don't leave off of the table. You have to have the opportunity. I don't like what happened. I don't like what happened. King Kong Ortiz deserved better. He deserved better. And another mighty salute and shout out to Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, because if it were not for Wilder giving this man the opportunities that he gave him, he may not have been able to do the things he was able to do to help his own family. And he would have totally been frozen out like Guillermo Rigondeaux. But you got guys like Tank Davis, following the lead of Freak Show. I was going to use another word, but I'll just say Floyd Mayweather. Selfishness, not bringing your brothers along. It is lonely at the top, and there'll be no one to catch you when you drop. The other fights that took place on the undercard, I'll try to cover them this week because they were good matches. But it's midnight now, and I know that a lot of you got to get up for work tomorrow, and I won't just keep you here. With everything being considered, it was a damn good fight. King Kong acquitted himself admirably. I just don't like what they did to the brother. And I just hope that at the end of the day, he'll have recognition on his career in the correct way. You know, it's important to acknowledge people for their accomplishments. I appreciate everybody that came out to hear me this evening. Those are my post-fight thoughts. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Enjoy your week ahead. Enjoy your holiday. If you have it off, be safe. Don't be no damn fool. Take care of yourself and your families. Till next time we speak, peace to everybody.